Guy Britton here with Waves Audio. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about reverb. Reverb is one of those things that pretty much all of us are using on our tracks, but not everybody is making the most out of it. It's easy to get into the habit of just finding a preset that we like, throwing it on a track, and then moving on with life. But there's actually so much more to reverb if you just take a bit of time to slow down, dive a bit deeper into the controls, and figure out exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve with your reverb. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can use reverb to add space and dimension to our mixes in a bit of a different way, as well as showing you a trick which is going to completely level up your vocal production. So first up, I have this track here called Fear of Heights by Camille Kano. And Camille is an amazing vocalist and she's great at backing vocals. And this track has these really beautiful sounding backing vocals that act kind of like a pad to support the lead vocal. But at the moment, it feels like they're just fighting for space in the mix with the lead vocal.
Head up there in the clouds, you know me too well. Brown eyes keep a promise that you'll never tell. From here on the
So what I want to do is push them back in the mix, and reverb is a great way of doing this because the more reverb we add to a sound, the more it pushes it back in a room. The drier it is, the more upfront it appears. So reverb is going to be a great way of sitting this back in the mix and consequently giving the mix a lot more depth. So the plugin that I'm going to use to do this is going to be IR Live. And the reason for that is because IR Live is a convolution reverb, which basically means that it allows you to load impulse response files. And if you're not sure what impulse responses are, they're basically reverbs that have been captured and recorded in a real space and converted into a file that allows you to load them into reverb plugins like this one, rather than reverbs that have been generated by like a computer algorithm, for example. And these impulse response reverbs tend to sound much more natural and realistic because they've been recorded in actual spaces. Now, IR Live comes with some great sounding impulse responses by default, but what's great about this plugin is you can also load in your own custom impulse responses, either ones you've created yourself or ones you've downloaded online. And if you do want to grab some great sounding IR files, then you can check out the massive free impulse response pack that's currently available right now on waves.com. But for the time being, in this video, I'm just going to be working with the standard default IRs that come with this plugin. By default, IR Live loads up with this live hall preset, but I feel like a hall reverb is maybe going to be too long and too dense for the kind of thing that I'm trying to achieve. So what I want to do is find something like maybe a room reverb or a chamber reverb, which is going to be super reflective and really push it back in space. So let's try this live chamber 1 impulse response and reset, and let's take a listen to what this sounds like. So you can hear how that's really pushed it back in space. It's made it super dark and super distant. And that's maybe a little bit too far away and a little bit too dark now. So we're going to play around with this a bit and see if we can just bring it a little bit closer. And then let's use this EQ damping section to remove some of the low mid boxiness from that reverb and boost some of the top end just to give it a bit more excitement and a bit more airiness. Great, that sounds cool. I'm not going to play around with the reverb time because I don't actually want it to be any longer. I want this to be quite a short reverb that's really just pushing it back in the mix. And let's take a listen to what that sounds like now with the lead vocal in as well.
head up there in the clouds, you know me too well. Brown eyes keep a promise that you'll never tell. From here on the ground, can you hear the sound of my heart dripping over itself?
Great, that's done an amazing job of pushing those vocals back into the mix and allowing them to float in this sort of dark space behind everything. And that's what adds depth and dimension to a mix, is by not only having a left and a right in the stereo field, but also having a front to back. And this reverb is great for pushing that back and allowing that lead vocal to still cut through on top of everything else. So next up, I have this track called Radioactive by Kate Lomas, which is a kind of disco pop sort of thing. And it has these picked guitar parts in it, which sound like this. Now they sound okay, but they're kind of flat, kind of boring, sort of one-dimensional, not very exciting. So I want to bring some excitement and some depth to them using some reverb. And again, I'm going to use an instance of IR Live. So I'm going to insert a stereo instance on this guitar group here, which is all 3 guitar pick tracks, the left, the right, and then this like double track as well. And I'm going to go for something maybe like a room reverb, something which has got a bit of bounce to it. Let's take a listen to what this sounds like. So I like the Live Room 2 preset. Let's go with that and let's see what we can do with this. That already sounds way livelier. Let's use the pre-delay to create a bit of separation between the attack of that guitar and the reverb starting. That's cool. That's almost got like a rhythm to it between the pick of the guitar and the reverb starting. Yeah, that guitar immediately feels much more exciting, much livelier, and is way less one-dimensional than it was before. It feels like it's got a lot more depth and it sits in the mix much better now. So lastly, we're going to stick with the same track, but this time I want to look at the vocals and I want to show you a trick to really grab the listener and drive home this pop hook that's in this song. So let's take a listen to the vocals as they currently are, and then I'll show you this trick for creating a real moment in the chorus. So what we're going to do here is focus on this radioactive line, because that is the title of the song, and I want to enhance that using reverb and create a reverb throw, which is going to be a moment that just accelerates the chorus and drives home that hook for the listener. So the first thing that I'm going to do is duplicate this track, and then I'm just going to remove all of the sends and all of the plugins on this channel strip so that we're starting basically with a blank track. And then what I'm going to do is cut this phrase here, which it says maybe we're radioactive, and copy that down to this track. And then it happens again at the end of the chorus. So I'm going to do the same here. And we're just going to have these 2 moments that are going to be these ethereal reverb throws that are going to really enhance this pop hook. Lastly, let's insert another stereo instance of IR Live on this track, but this time I want to go for something longer, something dreamier, and something much more ethereal. So let's try the Live Long Plate 3. That's probably going to be the longest one. And let's hear what that sounds like. If I just scroll up a bit, then we can see when these vocals are coming in. Let's take a listen to that and see what that sounds like. Let's try it longer. Maybe even longer. And with a long reverb, what we don't want is for it to be too muddy. So let's use this dampening again, just to bring out some of that low mid, just to make sure we're not going to clutter the mix with long reverb tails that have kind of unwanted low frequency in. Let's hear that. And then let's hear that in the mix.
Maybe
So as you can see, there's 3 totally different ways to add depth and dimension to a mix just using reverb, and this is where impulse responses are so powerful. And whilst impulse responses might sound complicated, you can see from this that IR Live is actually a super simple plugin to use. It's really intuitive, and most importantly, it sounds great. So if you want more information and you want to try out IR Live for yourself, follow the link in the description below, and I'll see you next time.